Hello crypto friends, checking back in on the sector, and we are now entering day number 12 of this 2% range as far as Coinbase goes in terms of the 2% range, but pretty much across the board we are in a very tight range. At this point there is no doubt in my mind that something is up. This is not normal price action. Things are being manipulated and held in a tight place. We usually don't spend a whole lot of time on conspiracy theories and speculation because it's in places where we're not going to get a definite answer, it can be just a waste of time. But clearly, without much else going on in the market right now, aside from some altcoins with some movements, there's not much else to talk about. So you don't see the price make a 9% move on one daily candlestick, followed by 12 days in a row with a 2% range. It just does not happen. That's not how markets work. After about day 5 or 6, things started to get a little unusual, and now every single day that we tack on only makes me more certain that we're being contained in this range. Look at BTCKRW on BitThumb here, and this is the highest Bitcoin volume exchange that there is. Look at the increasing volume. It's just so blatant that there is something going on here. You do not see this kind of huge volume in a completely steady range. It's just not normal trading activity. So ever since that Tether Day, we'll call it Tether Day, 2 weeks ago, we have now seen the price contained, but we had a member, one of our moderators, Beto, he put together this chart. This is the stablecoin news that has come out since that Tether volatility. And I'm not going to read every single one here. You can pause it and look at every individual one. But we had Coinbase launch its coin of USDC. There's a lot going on in the world of stable coins right now. So that's, in my opinion, people caused Tether to have this kind of fear. Now we're getting all these other stable coins getting in the spotlight a little bit more with all these headlines. And in my opinion, whatever happened to Tether during that day has now led to the containment of Bitcoin trading in a tight range. So I obviously don't have all of the information as far as what's going on behind the scenes here, and a lot of people have a lot more valid opinion than me as far as what that is. I'm the chart guy here, but it's something's up. So we know that much, and it's really interesting to see how it's going to play out, but really boring as a trader. I have absolutely no interest in the cryptocurrency space, and it's losing a lot of interest because of that. But it'll come back eventually. We will see action as whenever the large money that's doing whatever it's doing, whenever they get the positions they want and they want things to see a reaction, that's when we're going to see the reaction. So again, in the markets, this is just a nice broad reminder, all markets, stock markets and cryptocurrency, we are just the little fish riding the coattails of the big whales that are controlling things. And we have to be aware of that, and we have to be okay with that, because otherwise we're going to be really frustrated all the time. So checking in on Bitcoin, again, the 4-hour range here, or I should say the 4-hour levels that we picked out. Now on the daily time frame, 12 days in a row, I don't care about the price of Bitcoin until we break 63.55 or 6,500. That's essentially where I stand. And again, one more time, the massive volume with no price movement here that's going on in South Korea is absolutely notable as well. We covered ZRX BTC in the last video when we pointed out the potential for a short entry due to the lack of any support nearby. And that has been following through now. So when we did this video, we were trading right here. When we broke 12,869, the lack of support nearby, the bears now are up about 5% plus on that trade. So just a very clear trade in terms of seeing where a key level is, seeing where there's a lack of key levels immediately after that key level, and then seeing the trade opportunity from that resulting in profit. And the bears are still very comfortable at this point. Anybody that entered this trade short is either locking in their nice 5% gain, they can put their stop loss at break even, or they could even move their stop loss into some small profit and use the hourly trend and say, all right, if we break the hourly downtrend, I will cover my short. And right now, 12,539 is the last hourly lower high. You can see the exponential resistance is knocking the price down. So on the daily time frame, more significant pullback. I would anticipate a bounce in the near term. You can see the 4-hour RSI is oversold. So that would be a potential reason to cover that short. Or again, you could just use that hourly trend, which at this point would allow for, worst case scenario, small profits. So on the daily time frame, anything above 1055 maintains a higher low. So we are looking for the bulls to keep the daily uptrend at this point. That's not at risk, but we need a trend change on the 4-hour to indicate that another daily higher low has been established. NEO-USD, the rest of these coins that we're going to be doing are from member votes, and it's from the most votes to the least amount. Well, actually not the least amount. but the most votes down. So give you a little bit of insight as to what traders are interested in right now. So for NEO USD, and this is on Bitfinex. So NEO USD, we had a clear bear break where we had the high, low, lower high, a tight range. And if we look on the 4-hour time frame, it's a similar scenario to what ZRX just had, where we don't have a ton of supports nearby. And as soon as we broke 1650, it was a red flag. 1635 was a red flag. But if you entered on the bear break of this uptrend on the 4-hour time frame, which essentially was either 1666, or if you wanted to be more cautious, it was 1665, so that little double low. That bear break has now resulted in significant gains, 50 cents to the downside with some nice follow through. So same thing, exponential resistance on the 4-hour time frame, the hourly chart clearly rejecting from exponential resistance as well, and the bears are in control in the short term. That's the case for a lot of altcoins now that were in sideways ranges before the last 2 days. In the last 2 days, we have seen these bear breaks follow through. So the bears are in complete control. The next clear daily support is down at 1552, and the bulls are going to have to get over these daily exponential resistances. Look at the last time we had a bull cross on these exponential 12 and 26 period moving averages. For NEO, it was all the way back in April, and that's when Bitcoin had a big bull move as well. I think April at this point is my most profitable month in the cryptocurrency space this year, and I haven't been trading cryptocurrency for months, but I certainly remember that April run, and I look forward to when we have a similar run at some point in the near future, ideally early 2019, when we get this backed exchange going. But you can see that that exponential moving average can be a potential guide for the bulls, and just bulls disregarding anything until that gets a bull cross, and then we'll take it from there and potentially establish a longer term position. If I were looking for long-term positions, I would be using this as a signal because there aren't any fake outs. If on these moves we were seeing, a bull cross and then a bear cross and a lot of fake out signals, that's when I don't use an indicator, or in this instance, an exponential moving average crossing as a signal. But the fact that it has not happened in 6 months plus at this point, it would be notable when it does happen. So bears in complete control there. ADA BTC also seeing a pullback now. We have a clear support level from the last few days, and if we look on the 4-hour time frame and put our support level in at 1125, multiple lows, so 1123, 25, 25. It's a triple bottom, and it's a descending triangle pattern. That's when you have a horizontal base of support and lower highs with just a tightening range, and at this point anything under 1151 is just another lower high, and we'll see if the bulls can hold 1123. If I were a bear looking for an entry on a break of this pattern, I would want to see one more bounce and a lower high and then a bear break, because if we bear break from where we stand right now, we've already been pulling back for a couple dozen hours, and the bears are a little bit extended already. I'd like to see one more hold of support, one more lower high, and then a bear break. If I were looking for a bull break, I'd probably want the same thing, one more lower high and then a bull break, because the tighter you get in these patterns before the breaks occur, the more follow through you get after that signal. So that's something that I'm always looking for when I'm planning entries and exits. How tight were we? How extended are we in whatever direction I'm looking? And at this point, we do want to see it get a little bit tighter, but it is a very clear 4-hour descending triangle pattern to be keeping an eye on. And if we look at the daily chart, under 1096, a lack of support anywhere nearby. So 1123 and then 1096 are the key support levels. And here's an example where we did get a bull cross just barely on these exponential moving averages on the daily, but that's enough for me to take it with a grain of salt when we get a bull cross the next time, because there's been a couple times here where we just barely got that cross and no follow through. So keep that in mind when you're watching signals to be going off of. Look back at historically, has it been a good signal or not? So BNB USDT on the daily time frame also pulling back. The clear bear break here, we had a bunch of support levels all establishing a base on the 4-hour, and that was down at 981, so multiple lows. Bears have had some really easy setups the last 3 days or so with some key supports breaking, and you can see under 981 the next support is 951, so that's a lot of space to the downside, and we are now just seeing a break of that support. No dump, but it's just a clear lower high, lower low pattern. And at this point, the bears have complete control, exponential resistance on the 4-hour time frame, and the daily chart. We're looking down at the next support of 951. So clear fade, again, just another name that's now pretty much everybody we've looked at has had a clear horizontal base of support that has broken and gotten follow through to the downside. BAT/BTC, multiple daily inside bars breaking bearish, another clear bear signal. This one went off at 4054, and here we are at 3844, so essentially a 5% pullback at this point. and that was just a 4-hour equilibrium, and it broke bearish. So actually, let's go all the way back. We had the high, low the pullback, lower high, higher low, lower high, higher low, double top, bear break. So we had support down at 4080, 4090. Resistance was 426. We hit 4252, broke support, and it's been met. Since that break of support took place, we have had 8 red 4-hour candles in a row. So that's essentially 2 days in a row. Day and a half of bearish action since that break. And now we're coming down to 3797 support, and the bulls need to hold that level because, again, there's a lack of support immediately after that. So the daily time frame is going to look for support to be established because it's coming off of a solid uptrend, and the daily uptrend is close to being lost. That key support level of 3797 is the last daily higher low that we did see. So the bulls really want to hold that level, and if we do hold it, we will look for a little bounce and a daily lower high, but that's an important level to be watching going forward because that could indicate more significant consolidation coming after the loss of that uptrend. BAT has been hot, but remember, this weekly trend is still very clearly in a downtrend, and we were anticipating a lower high to form once we started covering BAT maybe a week or two ago. And in order to change this weekly trend, we're going to have to set this lower high, pull back for a higher low, and then break those lower highs in order to see that weekly longer-term trend change. OMG, the last few days, also getting a bear break. So if we look at the 4-hour chart, we had a couple support levels lining up, and it was really just a change in the trend. Look at the 4-hour, higher lows the whole way up, and then the higher low was lost right here on the bear flag. We had the 338 low, another higher low here at 33879, and then a bear break took out both supports at once. So it's essentially not exactly a head and shoulders pattern, but it's just a loss of the 4-hour higher lows, and now it's lower highs and lower lows, bears taking over, 4-hour RSI oversold. So very clearly to me, I'm not actively monitoring the altcoin space, and that's because I'm not actively trading them. There's a lot going on in the stock market right now, but we are seeing a lot of bearish action the last 2 days. And it's very interesting to note. I mean, we remember Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space being marked for its volatility. Names like Netflix and stocks and these major stocks that are having all the crazy action are way more volatile than Bitcoin is in the last couple of weeks. And, you know, Netflix going 6% in a day while Bitcoin staying 12 days in a row with a 2% range. So very notable shift in volatility. And again, perhaps that has something to do with the ETF potential decision coming up. We've got the backed exchange coming on, but I cannot disregard the amount of volume that Bitcoin is seeing in South Korea without it budging the price. There is significant things going on behind the scenes. Who knows how it's going to shake out, but the bottom line is it's going to make me more cautious without a doubt, knowing the kind of games that are being played and knowing that, you know, the big money is well aware of analysts like myself that are on YouTube, and we could see fake out signals. You know, people are going to all be reacting to certain levels, and if everybody's saying, well, for Bitcoin, the weekly level to be watching is 6,800 and let's see, what was that level? 6,823. And if everybody's looking at that level, you know, to get people faked out, it's very clear for large money to know which levels to be looking at to potentially make those fake outs occur. So let's see if fake outs and things like that become more prevalent in this space, but it's a very interesting scenario, and the bottom line is I probably have the least amount of understanding of what is going on in a market that I'm interested in trading right now, what's going on in cryptocurrency, in as long as I can remember. And it would be easy for me to come on here and say, you know, this is clear signs of accumulation, and we've got the backed exchange coming on, and we've got large investors loading up, and Bitcoin's going to be heading to all-time highs in 2019. But that would be talking out of my arse, and there's probably a lot of other YouTube analysts who are potentially doing that, but I'm just going to be real and say I have no idea what is going on right now in this space behind the scenes, and it will become clear in hindsight, you know, in early 2019, once we see a break from this range and we see this weekly chart on Bitcoin break, it'll be clear for us to say, go back and say, oh, okay, that was accumulation. And if I had to guess, that's my biggest guess right now, that there is large accumulation going on at this point. But until we see how that develops, I'm going to continue to stay cash. I'm going to continue to monitor the clear levels because the trend is still lower highs on the weekly time frame, and once that changes, I will be looking to play long and bullish. But until that changes, I'm going to be very patient and very protective and continue to play the stock market volatility. At this point, it's very clear that Bitcoin does not have a relationship to the broad stock market, and a lot of people are saying, you know, this is related to currencies. So if the dollar sees weakness, that's when potentially Bitcoin is going to be the safe haven. But as of right now, it's being very clear the last month was the time for Bitcoin to be a safe haven for US securities and stocks, and it's just not. So that relationship pretty clear at this point, and we'll see if we get that dollar weakness at some point in the coming years if we do see Bitcoin act as that safe haven. So interesting time to be watching the space. We'll continue to check in probably every other day until we get a clear break of this 12-day range that we've currently been trading in. And feel free to share your thoughts in the YouTube comments as to what's going on. And of course, nobody has the right answer, but interesting to see what everybody is speculating, because at this point in time, there's certainly a lot of varying opinions out there, and look forward to hearing from you. So continue to do good things out there. Currently still in New Orleans, seeing some good music, going over to Frenchman Street tonight, and doing some good things by making it rain in Uber tips. So we'll see you perhaps Monday. Have a good rest of your weekend.